Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Talk Spicy. I'm Coach Gene Clemens. Thank you for joining me wherever you are joining me. Rate the show, comment, agree, disagree, but whatever you do, keep it spicy. 5-star ratings are appreciated. And if you're joining me on the YouTube channel, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. Allow me to be semi kind of shallow and introspective all at the same time. And hopefully know that where I'm coming from is from a place of love and not necessarily any hate. I grew up with the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. And I've never really understood like the hate for the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. People would be like, "Oh, well, I just don't, it's weird that they're celebrating beauty, right? They're celebrating the human body." But I've always had an issue with the fact that the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue never really featured athletes. By the way, it's one of the things that I love about the ESPN body issue is that we do get to see athletes featured more prominently in the ESPN body issue. But it's always been a thing for me. I remember going and looking at the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue when I was younger, and then thinking about some of the many female and male athletes out there that I felt like, yo, it would be fly if I saw them in this, Sports Illustrated issue, especially the females. Again, allow me to be shallow for a second. I remember years ago, long time ago, Sue Bird, there was a controversy with Sue Bird because Sue Bird had made a bet with someone, I believe maybe a radio host or something, that if the Storm didn't make the playoffs or if the Storm didn't win the championship, something of that nature, that she would appear in a bikini. And I remember at the time, and this is before she had ever come out or anything, I remember at the time, people were really giving her flack because they said that she was allowing herself to be objectified. And I remember at the time going, man, I just always thought Sue Bird was fly. Like, I always thought Sue Bird was beautiful. So if she happened to pop up in a bikini, I would watch. I would look at it. But I understood what they meant. Like, she didn't have to, pull these types of stunts in order to get publicity for, the WNBA, which was still extremely young at the time. I want to say it was only a few years in at most. Now, looking back, hindsight 20 years or something like that, like, wouldn't necessarily have been a bad idea. And lo and behold, who is in the SI swimsuit issue now, 20 years later or however long later? Sue Bird. Still looking gorgeous, living her best life, still beautiful. Still would have loved to have seen that 20-year-old or that 20, what would have been like 22, 23-year-old Sue Bird. That 22, 23-year-old Sue Bird used to hit different. I ain't gonna lie to you. So it's an interesting place that we find ourselves at, and I do appreciate what the Sports Illustrated's trying to do with their swimsuit issue, or at least what they are trying to do with it this year, which is kind of feature some different types of bodies, different types of bodies that you would see in a swimsuit. However, I still contend that the greatest thing I saw was when Serena Williams was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. And not because she was a Black woman on the cover of Sports Illustrated, because we know that Tyra Banks has been on the cover of Sports Illustrated, but it was because she was an athlete, and not just an athlete. She was a dominant athlete A dominant athlete who was still comfortable enough in her own skin to be looked at as beautiful, to be looked at as sexy, to have an appeal. Because I feel like unfairly in sports, you're asked to be one or the other. Subconsciously, if you are paying too much attention, or if people feel as if they're paying too much attention to the way you look, the moment you have a bad game, they go, oh, she needs to pay more attention to the game instead of how she's going to be looking after the game. If you care about your presence, they say, oh, he needs to work on his free throws or work on his jump shot instead of working so much on the wardrobe he's going to wear before and after the game. It's a really strange place to be, where we try to make it seem as if it's almost a detriment to be beautiful or to be stylish or to be fly while you're doing a job like playing sports, where they see you all the time and they see your body all the time. I mean, who are we fooling? Sue Bird has been running around in a tank top and shorts for the better part of 30 years, probably more, if we're being honest. She's been somebody who has been, maybe not in a bikini, but has been showing a lot of her body for most of her life. And because she's been that person, why can't she look fly? Why does she have to embrace just, looking humbled or looking as if she doesn't care, as if she only cares about, basketball and nothing else? I think one of the best things that ever happened to Sue Bird was her wife Rapinoe. I think her wife brought that style out of her, brought a little more pizzazz out of her, made it possible for her to really see and really unlock, or not even unlock, because she's always been beautiful, but really focus her beauty. Like, hey, I can be beautiful and I can still be a ball player. And I think that the new age, this new breed of basketball player on the men's and women's side, by the way, are embracing more and more that they can be fly, that they can be beautiful, that they can be all of those things, but they can still be killers on the court. Now, or on the field, or wherever, on the pitch, wherever you get your job done in a sports world. Now, it doesn't mean that it's not going to come without scrutiny. Of course not. But the fact that they have the opportunity to do it is something that I believe is great. I just wish SI, a sports magazine, would pay homage to athletes more than they pay homage to models. Because that's the part that I don't really understand. That's the part that I get confused. Can you not find? I mean, let's rewind. ESPN has shown us that there are more than enough athletes out there in all walks of life who are beautiful. In fact, most of those athletes now have avenues to show you their beauty all the time. I mean, how awesome would it be to see a Paige Van Sant on the cover of Sports Illustrated? For those of you who don't know, she's an MMA fighter. Or Valerie Laredo, MMA fighter. How awesome would it have been to see that picture of all of the WNBA players who are going to be in there as different covers? If they all had different covers instead, we get Kim Kardashian. We've been there, we've done that. She has nothing really to do with sports except for the fact that she has, been with athletes. She doesn't play a sport. She doesn't have any connections or ties to sports, but she's a model, and that's what they do with SI. We throw models out there. So she's on the cover. There's a couple other cover people on SI, and none of them are athletes. And it's just me. It's just what I think. It's like, man, it would be great if Sue Bird, the 40-plus-year-old basketball player who still looks fly and who represents the LGBT community and all of that stuff, why couldn't she be the cover? Breanna Stewart, who is the young and almost one of the faces of the league now, and fly. They're in the magazine, so they see the worth. Why not put them on the cover? So it's like, as from someone who loves athletes, from someone who's looking at an athletic magazine, I go, man, it would be great if the preeminent athletic magazine focused more on athletes on the cover of its swimsuit issue. Again, the day that Serena Williams was on the cover of SI swimsuit issue, I was like, yo, it's Serena. Because it was, like I said, it was fly that it was a black woman, but we've seen that before. Shout out to Tyra Banks. But it was really fly that she was an athlete. And now all of those girls looking out can say, hey, I can be dominant and powerful and strong like Serena Williams, but I can also be fly like her as well. You know who else is fly? Jimmy Butler's fly. He's super fly, and I want to make sure that that I give him his flowers. What would happen if Patrick Beverley was taller, had an offensive game? If Patrick Beverley was taller and had an offensive game, would you have Jimmy Butler? Jimmy Butler would be the equivalent of that partner that you never asked for, but you absolutely positively need in your life. Jimmy Butler is not going to win any beauty contest, and I'm not talking about looks. I'm talking about the game. No one's going to just immediately go, oh yeah, Jimmy Butler, that's the one. But everybody needs Jimmy Butler because Jimmy Butler does the things that you usually ask role players to do, but he does them and still gives you star numbers. He still gives you star appeal. He still operates in that star world, even though he's willing to do the 8th and 9th man on the bench stuff. He is an absolute goon. And every time he's out there, you're in trouble. Think about every team he's played for. When he was with Chicago, they and Thibodeau was in Chicago, they used to say, oh man, Thibodeau runs those kids into the ground. Guess who never complained about Thibodeau? Jimmy Butler. Then he got traded. He got traded to Minnesota. Couldn't roll with those dudes in Minnesota. Why? Because they was too damn soft. Too soft. Didn't want to grind. Didn't like that hard life. You got Karl Anthony Towns out there, one of the biggest, most skilled athletes in the NBA, and he's not a dog. He's not a guy to get him out of there. He goes to Philly. Perfect fit. Perfect fit for the city. Perfect mentality to go with the team. And they decide to, instead of embracing Jimmy Butler, they embrace who? And then he goes down to Miami, which, by the way, Miami, a place that seems like it wouldn't be as hard as it is, except anybody that knows Miami knows it's hard. So, like, think about the city, right? When you think Miami, most people think South Beach. They think lights, they think sand, they think parties, blah, 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 blah. But anybody from Florida knows that if you're talking about Miami, there's a lot more Miami than just that Miami, that glitz and glamour. It's a lot of hard nose, it's a lot of tough. It's a lot of goons back there. There are a lot of people who are about that life in Miami. Yo, shout out to my brother Shimmy. Yeah, he's a dog, a real dog. So now, when you see the basketball team, you think, oh, Showtime, blah, blah, blah. But no, that's one of the hardest, toughest, most like in your face, get after you type of teams in the league. Right? And Jimmy Butler fits perfectly. But tell me where Jimmy Butler does not fit. If Jimmy Butler was a suit, Jimmy Butler would be that suit that you never think fits you until you put it on and you realize it's perfect. Put Jimmy Butler in Boston, he's fine. Philly, we've already seen. New York, he's good. Orlando, they're a playoff team. Lakers, please. Clippers, where does he not fit? What style of game does his ability not fit into? He fits everywhere for everybody. If you found me a coach that said, yo, I can't rock with Jimmy Butler, I'm going to tell you that coach is not good at their job. Any coach that tells you I don't get down with Jimmy Butler or I can't coach Jimmy Butler, that's not a coach I want. No coach is ever going to say that because everybody understands the value that Jimmy Butler brings. Now, am I saying that Miami is going to win this series? I don't know that to be true. Here's what I do know. They were the number 1 seed, and everybody, including me, underestimated them. Thought that they were just going to, eventually somebody was going to get to them because they don't have enough of. But man, when you got a Jimmy Butler type of player, one who is not selfish, one who is selfless, one who's willing to do the stuff that other superstars may not want to do, you got a chance. That's part of the allure with Giannis, right? Part of the allure with Giannis is that some people believe that Giannis doesn't realize he's a superstar. That's what makes him great. That's part of what makes him great. So if we can say that about Giannis, which I don't necessarily agree with the same, but I get it. I'm definitely saying that about Jimmy Butler, except Jimmy Butler knows he's a star. He knows he's a star, even if you don't. He knows he's a star, and yet knowing he's a star, he's still willing to do the stuff that your star is not willing to do. Jimmy Butler could never be James Harden. You would never see Jimmy Butler pull a James Harden. If Jimmy Butler's not getting, if he's not getting buckets on a night, he's locking somebody up. He's going to get double-digit rebounds, double-digit assists. Look at the games where Jimmy Butler doesn't score a lot of points, and then go and watch the game and see how he affects the game in other ways. Jimmy knows he doesn't have to be the leading scorer every night. He's not concerned with your scoring titles or your assist award or your rebounding titles or where he's going to fall in the all-time whatever. Jimmy Butler's not out here trying to make your 75 greatest team or your 100 greatest team. He's just out here balling. He's the star. that all of you want, but none of you ever really identify. All of you, let me say it. He's the star that all of you need, but none of you ever want. He's like that girlfriend. He's like that girl or that boy. You don't want him until you've gone through all of the things that you think you want. And then you go, oh, I really need a Jimmy Butler in my life. I've had this and I've had that and it's all been a sham. But the Jimmy Butler, that's what I need in my life. Is Jimmy going to piss you off sometimes? Absolutely. But he's always going to be there. He's always going to be loyal. 10 toes down. That's the type of suit I want to wear. That's the type of suit that fits. It's going to be a great series. I don't know how it's going to go. I believe Udoka is going to make some changes. Boston's going to bounce back. Does Miami win it? Does Boston win it? I don't know. It's going to be a great one to watch, though. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Talk Spicy. I'm Coach Gene Clemens. We do this thing a few times a week. Rate the show, comment, agree, disagree. But whatever you do, keep it spicy. 5-star ratings are appreciated. And if you're joining me on the YouTube channel, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. Till next time, peace.